messages of unconditional love and direction to those who seek answers as a galactic grandmother. Sheila can help you receive emotional healing and solutions, allowing you to live your divine purpose and calling on the nourishment of Mother Earth's energy and the wisdom of your galactic lineage.
Sheila is an experienced metaphysical practitioner who deals with many modalities, as we said, lots of them, such as heart math and Reiki, and she's also a certified hospice caregiver and an ordained metaphysical minister. I get excited because this is the next phrase I say, but wait, there's more. Sheila is truly also known for her profound work, and this is how I think I know her best, in something called integrated energy therapy. Now that's IET, and perhaps she'll discuss that as well. So recently she has launched her Galactic Ascension Academy, offering its first course, Sobriety Through Spirituality. Sheila, welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you. I am so excited to be here. Thank you, Lee and Monica. And I've been around for a long time, and I have listened to this Healing Wednesday show from the very beginning. Been one of the very, very first ones. And of course, been around you and Monica. So I'm very, very grateful to be here and honored. Thank you very much.
It's about time she's here, and thank you there for your loyalty. It's so fun to know that you've watched the program, and now you're on the program. And we've had several of guests of ours who said, yes, I've watched it, and now I'm here. All right, number one, before you talk about the things you want to talk about, I want to know what a recovery metaphysician is.
A metaphysical recovery metaphysician, all right, is a person that helps you get unstuck and get realigned to your true purpose as a soul. And I absolutely love what I do. I help people in many, many areas, not just through addictions, also through everyday life and how they can actually change their life and have more joy and abundance and love. I help people recover from all the things that they get stuck from.
So it's actually it's funny that we're talking about recovery this whole month, and you now the last guest of the month deals with recovery. So wonderful. How did this start for you? I know we weren't just born knowing these things. With all these modalities, you had to have something that said, I want to know everything. Tell us how it started.
There's a lot there, but my actual soul kind of knew that I was destined for all this, and I really need to go back a little bit to the beginning because it kind of shows where my soul knew before I did what my soul's purpose was. But I am a child of 8 kids, and I'm number 6, and very Irish Catholic family, and I could talk with angels. I could see them, I could hear them, and communicate with them. But of course, I lived in a Catholic community. I also had the Catholic guilt that the nuns told me I could have, a guardian angel, but I couldn't talk to angels. So I hid my ability. And so many people that do know me, and some people that don't know me, that I am hard of hearing. I wear hearing aids, and I've been hard of hearing since I was a child. But I hid my abilities for a long time, but I always knew that I was not alone, and I knew that the angels had me covered. And I started to develop. I came from a home that was not very healthy, and most of us do, all right? And both of my parents are active alcoholics. So I grew up in that type of area of environment. But what happened was I got married very early. I married my high school sweetheart. I really hadn't grown up myself. But what happened was as the years went on, I knew I was unhappy, and I knew I needed to do something about it. So actually in 1985, I actually got into recovery myself for codependency. Of course, during that time, it was about everybody else's fault. I played the victim role good. If you had the life that I did, but I knew that I needed to do something about myself. So in 1985, I started a recovery program for myself. And then it took me 8 years later before I came out of denial that I had a drinking problem also. So I actually got into recovery for alcoholism in 1993. So that was 30 years ago. So it was all through my own life unhappiness and also knowing that I needed to take responsibility for myself. And the only way to get better is to take action. And that's what I did. So I got into recovery. So that's how it all started. Shall I go on?
Yes, because now
Yeah.
many are wondering what steps did you take? Because the first step is awareness, acknowledgement, I need help. How did you get that help? How did you help yourself? And how do you now help others?
Okay, so this is where I really like to talk about, especially when I'm teaching classes or connecting with another person, is that actually spirit, it was all spiritually divinely orchestrated how I decided to start working on myself. Spirit sent a woman who was part of my church. I was actually a church secretary at the time. A Lutheran church secretary, and I was very, very religious and came from that realm. And this person, we meshed, and she's the one that I finally opened up and started asking questions. So she told me kind of what to do. So what I did was I called my doctor and I said, I need help. And before that, I actually called my pastor who I worked for and finally got honest because I was so upset about the home life and stuff that was going on, but really I needed to take a look at myself. So what I did was I actually called my doctor the next day, got into a recovery program at one of the mental health programs here. And I started working the program. I started working the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. But what really boosted my power was the spiritual part. And the angels and the divineness and the part where they had in my life, and that I no longer deny them anymore. I said, okay, I need to do something. I knew that they were there for me. So when I started talking about me as a child, when I was about 6 years old, I was in the car with my mother, and you got to visualize this because I was in the car with my mother. Out of 8 kids, I was the only one in the car. So that's a big one. And all of a sudden I said, Mommy, what are we here for? Where do we come from? And she pulled over, she turned the car off and turned around and she looked at me and she said, honey, I don't know. But my soul knew. So, I say that openly and I tell people about that a lot is because serendipity and synchronicity, our soul knows what we need to work on ourselves and what our soul's purpose is, right? But we have to go through all the things in our life to experience it, to actually understand it. So when I decided to do something about it, excuse me, and as I said, it was very spiritual, I knew that I couldn't deny it anymore. And I had the help of divine angels, which of course I know is the Star Mothers, and I started doing work on myself, and that was back in 93. So that's how it kind of started. And what I learned in recovery programs, that it's all about the heart. It's all about making that connection, the intimate connection. And what I say is it's about intimacy, about getting real and getting honest about who you really are. And a lot of times, in this society, we stand, we hide behind the ego, we try to look good. And it's like, I didn't feel good. And I knew that I needed to do something. So that's what I did. I got into recovery and started the process there.
I think that has led you with the toolkit you carry now to help others move through their areas of whether it's addictions, whether it's being stuck, whether it's recovering from something else. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot and ask if you're willing to share an exercise where we can help recognize some spiritual symptoms of being stuck in an addiction. Is that something you could guide us through?
Oh, absolutely. So a lot of times when, in life, we're fearful of doing things. We're fearful of moving forward. And a lot of it has to do with the reasons why we become addicted. So what I like to have people think about is, what are you scared of? What is your fears? Why are you afraid to say what you're really thinking? All right. So it really boils down to how you grew up, what the lessons that you learned or the programming that you had. Right. And I truly believe that the programs that we have limits us to actually live in our divineness. When we look back at it, a lot of people realize that the reasons why they start to become addicted is to learn how to cope with the stress and with life. So as people start to grow up and they start to have things happen to them over and over again, they start to ask questions. People in recovery have hit their bottom in some way or another, and I hit my bottom. So I try to have people look at what caused you to feel unworthy. Why are you living in fear? Where does your anger come from? And many times people in addiction, they have a lot of anger issues. They have a lot of resentment, and they don't know why. All right. So it's more psychosocial things that you were brought up with, how you behave, how you actually relate to society, how you relate to other people. So many people have problems in relationships. They have problems in the workforce. They have problems relating to other people on a social environment unless they've been drinking, or they have to put that mask on to be somebody who they're really not. So I try to help people look at themselves. Where do you feel unhappy? Where do you feel stuck? And why do you feel stuck? So addiction or unhappiness, there's a lot more to it than just the drink or even the food, and when I hear labels out there, it really upsets me because we all have ways of coping, right? And a lot of it is unhealthy, but we're not called, oh, you're an overeater, or you shop too much, but people look down upon people in recovery, or have a problem. And it's not about, the substance that they use, it's the reasons why. So I like to have people go back and look into their childhood, go back, where did this all start from? So my practice really is about energy psychology and what happened to actually build those unhealthy behaviors that led you into seeking out unhealthy friends, unhealthy environments. And it's all about them being unhappy inside, trying to fill that empty hole inside, and how they do it. And most of the time, it's the fear that they have, the fear of doing different, the fear of going their own path. So I have people kind of look at what's really going on inside, and a lot of people don't know what's going on inside. And that's sometimes why they seek me out, through another friend or whatever they will say. But I love helping people by relating by stories, my own story. And I share openly about who I am and where I've come from. And I think that is the biggest key right there about being real and being authentic. I let them into me see what's really going on inside, So what other question would you like to ask?
Well, yeah. So what I'd like
I don't know.
Oh, no, we have a job for you.
Yeah, what I would like to now transition into is you've always had the ability of communicating with angels, and now you are communicating with the Galactic Star Mothers. And I feel that this is quite a passion of yours. And can you share with us how this unfolded and what the message of the Galactic Star Mothers, Star Grandmothers is?
Oh, it's about us being divine. And this is a wonderful time in humanity where it's about this energy shift. And it's the right time and the divine time. And the Star Mothers have always been with me. And they've really have brought that forward the last 5 or 6 years. And it's mostly through my own self-healing and things that I need to work on, but also standing in my own power and my own insecurities, my own fears, getting rid of those, and looking at my own issues in my tissues. So the Star Mothers bring me peace. And the Star Mothers, I openly communicate with them and ask them for direction. That's what my intention is every day. Show me, grow me, help me be the best that I can be. And the Star Mothers have showed that to me through people, through events that I've attended. A lot of the events, of course, with you and Lee, Monica, you and Lee, and all of the events that I have experienced, that was part of my own growth. And I had to go through that growth. But I always felt in the background that I always knew that I was never alone. And the Star Mothers were giving me messages. And it was in 2020 when I was actually in an event up in Ottawa with Dr. Ryan, where the Star Mothers said, from now on, you are going to openly channel us. And we have been the ones channeling through you from the very beginning. And I kind of knew that, but it kind of solidified everything. And the channeling came through when I was teaching. My modality that I actually specialize in is called integrated energy therapy. Yes, Lee, it's about issues in your tissues, and it's the angels of the energy field of the IET healing energy field. And what they do is they work with the DNA, the 12 spiritual strands of the DNA. So when you wrote the book, the 12 layers of the DNA, I kind of knew everything kind of that was coming forward. So the angels revealed to me that they were the mothers. They showed me in many situations, whenever I would do a meditation for my classes or my students, they would come in, they would wrap their arms around me, and I could feel them. And then in 2020, when they said, you now are going to openly channel us, and we have been the ones that have been coming through. And so then I knew, and it was no stopping. And then I said, okay, I had to face my fears. I had to get out of the way and just let them take over. And that's what I like to teach about being the present moment. What does it mean to just be in the present moment and let, your multidimensional abilities as a soul come through? Why are we here? Where do we come from?
Yeah. So you mentioned integrated energy therapy. I'd like to know more about it, because there's people who are watching this who have never been exposed to that healing modality, and I would love to hear more about it.
Right. Well, that actually happened in 2013. Between 2010 and 2013, I was going through mediumship training myself. And I knew I had abilities, and I was using them all along throughout my whole life, but I wasn't really ready to stand on my power until I advanced to a certain point. And when I started doing mediumship work, I wasn't comfortable saying, I'm a medium, can I give you a reading type thing? Because the angels were always in the background. And then I came across this modality called integrated energy therapy that uses the quantum violet light frequency of the divine with the work with the 12 spiritual strands of your DNA, meaning what is stuck in each of those areas of your body, the 12 strands, what is your full potential as a soul? And so, of course, Lee and Monica, we know in 2012, a lot of things happened. Science actually showed that there's more to the DNA than just the 2 spiritual strands, that there's all this other layers that come into play. And I felt it and I knew it. And IET is about getting on a cellular level, the DNA cellular level, things that are trapped in the cellular level that keeps you stuck. Right. And there's actually 9 different angels. Right. And each of them deal with a different area of the body that store the negative energy, the frequency of a blockage. Right. It's a lot like acupuncture, but it's not. And it's a lot of people call it, some people call it anyway, the actual Reiki on steroids kind of Reiki on steroids. But it is, and it's a higher quantum frequency. And what it does is it goes and it takes away one layer of blockage. And a lot of the blockages are guilt, distrust, shame. All right. The ones I like is the shoulds, the shoulda, wouldas, and couldas. It's about, I should do this, I would have done this, and how you beat yourself up type of thing. Then we have in the heart center, we deal with love and betrayal and heartache and stuff that's inside you. And then the
Delightful,
She really was.
amazing, sharing such a beautiful message with all of us.
I love these young people who are so awake, I tell you.
Absolutely.
And I've been waiting a long time for this, and to see it here epitomized on my show and your show.
It's fantastic.
It is wonderful. It's
yeah.
great.
And I want to tell anyone who wants to get too much into the minutiae, don't get into the minutiae and the details. Feel into the purity of the message that was given and delivered.
It's the right message, too.
Absolutely. Because we're here in the most extraordinary times the planet has ever seen.
Don't you find it interesting that she echoed what the indigenous have been saying all along with the messages she was getting from the Galactic Federation?
Yes.
It's all starting to shake hands and connect the dots as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's all about self-empowerment and self-healing.
Well, it's time again to do what we are calling Miracle Moments. This program you're watching is, of course, all about healing. It's about sending and receiving energy, something that old souls do really well. I'd like to ask Monica to share one of those miracles that a precious old soul has received.
So this miracle moment was shared in the membership portal, and I'm going to give you the abridged version of it, but it's so beautiful what was shared. And it comes from Tony, and Tony says, "My miracle is regarding my brother William, who I put on the healing list when it first started. William had been in the hospital and rehab for the better part of last year and 2022. He has severe lymphedema in his legs and heart issues. He was released from rehab in May 2022 and was enjoying being home. My brother loves to cook, so even though he was recovering, he wanted to cook an evening meal before his wife returned from work." What a sweetheart. I love him already. "And he turned on the gas to cook and realised it hadn't lit. When he noticed it was not lit, he struck a match, and that caused a massive explosion, and it threw him across the room. He hit his head and passed out. Eventually, he awakened, had enough presence of mind to turn off the gas. He then scooted into the next room to get his phone, but just as he reached the phone was already ringing. So he answered, And all he could say was, "I'm sorry, I am going." He thought he was dying and he actually passed out. Now, the person on the other end of the phone realised he needed help, immediately called 911, and when the medics arrived, he was still on the floor, barely conscious, when they took him to hospital. He was later told it was a miracle that he lived. So I'm deeply grateful for all the prayers and visualizations. Healing Moments works. Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Tony, for sharing that heartwarming, beautiful story, because we know prayer works. We can't override a soul plan, but we can send energy to those who need it. And there are those who, like her brother, will have a miracle happen. So I'd like to invite you to join me in this moment now, where we can consciously connect with each other and send out a wave of benevolence to everyone who requires it. There are so many right now on our planet that need help. They're in trouble. And so we want to send them a bubble of peace so that they may relax into their situation, knowing that they are not alone, knowing that there is help coming, knowing that right now there is a collective group of family gathering on this planet where they are included in prayers of benevolence, compassionate action, love, support. Anyone who has put their name on a prayer list of any kind in the past, present, and future, you are included in this group activity right now in this moment. We are enveloping you in an energetic hug so that you are surrounded by love and family. And let that penetrate into every cell of your body, how deeply loved you are. May you feel the peace, the eternal peace of the Creator that is with you right now. And in this tranquil, peaceful place, let us connect further with our soul and with Kryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon. Come a little closer. And the subject is deep peace. Perhaps even more than that. I gave you the information that this month we'd be talking about fear. But it would be more practical fears, and the first one I gave you just a few moments ago was how many are afraid of God. Afraid not because of something that's happened, but because of the programming, perhaps, if you want to call it that. The information of the ages that created a God that was not just the creator and the one that was love, but the one that was also the judgmental one. And the one that would take you and throw your soul for eternity into a horrible place of torture. And that's not the God that is represented at all in this galaxy, in this universe, in the universes and the multiverses. I told you earlier that this, if you want to even call it a God, this creative source was an energy of pure love. And that's the way it started. For those of you who love to analyze the quantumness of all things and say, in the beginning there was, and I will tell you, love. The most precious thing in the universe, and not just the love that you as a human being think of when you think of wonderful love. It was the love of all things. The love of every molecule that was about ready to be created, and the life that would spring from that. And here you are, with me telling you that perhaps, just perhaps, you got the wrong story. The circle of 12 is a place where you come for visualizations, perhaps these things turning into a reality you didn't expect, perhaps. But they all are exercises. And even in the beginning, we said to you, is it real? Is it not real? Indicating to you that there is reality beyond that which you think is real. And now those who are invested in multidimensional energies and the quantumness of everything are beginning to express the same thing. Is it possible that there are realities within realities? And you'll say, well, you're getting just a little too esoteric, Kryon. Perhaps. But when you are in fear, dear ones, of any kind, that is so three-dimensional. That is so anchored into that which is the old energy, that perhaps you need to expand that reality that you have into a situation where you might even cross the bridge with me into another reality which is actually bigger than the one you're experiencing, but you've never been told that. What if when you cross the bridge with me this evening and go to what we have called the bigger you, you actually go to a reality that is far older, more substantial, and real than this temporary one that you have on earth. And that is the way of it. Your soul is forever and has always been. It is part of the creative source. And that is the difficult thing for people to realize. What if you were part of the creative source in some way? That collectively, all together, all life was part of this creative source whose essence was love. We've asked you to peel the onion of your reality, and as you peel away the fears and the old things and the things that don't make sense that you were told about, that you would come across something which is a jewel of great price, and that is your soul, the love, the beauty. That is you, the real you, the one that was created to change this planet at this time. What if there were a bigger plan? And that bigger plan for you has you here now, hearing this, perhaps for the first time. Does it really make sense that the God of all things is a judgmental God that sounds a whole lot like a father, a dysfunctional, bad father? That should make you wonder, what's the real truth? I want you to come across this bridge with me tonight, as we've done so many times, and do something outrageous that you didn't expect, that it'll be hard to describe, but that is possible and doable. Dear ones, there's a bridge stretching in front of you that represents a crossing between the known, that's right now where you sit, and the unknown, and that's the bigger you, the soul you. And in this new energy, you have the tools, the ability, the permission to go across the bridge and meet those on the other side that anchor these things with you call your soul. The guides, the angels, the past life recognitions, all of that we have done. It's all part of you. It's beautiful. So much bigger, perhaps, you were ever told. But this time, come with me. Let's cross the bridge. Take my hand. All of these times we have walked this little distance, crossing this bridge, and through the fog that obfuscates what might be on the other side, and then when it clears, you step into that which is the beauty, the majesty, the splendor of your soul. Whatever you see in your mind's eye is accurate. Whatever you see there that you have decided that's what it would look like is accurate, because that's your mind's eye. But the truth is you really cannot imagine what it looks like. First of all, you don't see it with eyes. This is a place, if you want to call it that you can hear light. This is a beautiful place where there's always some kind of glorious music playing. A song that you would recognize if I played it right now for you. It's the dancing lights made by the stars. It's all of the entities that are out there on all of the other places and galaxies and planets that have to do with you and your soul and who know you. A bigger picture than you ever thought there was is there. We've told you that. And here you are in this soul where everything is accessible. There's a door. Will you go through this door with me? Different than any door you've ever been through. Are you ready for something special? I want you to come through the door with me. I'm right beside you. Come through the door. And as soon as you walk through that door, you're standing very firmly and not afraid in outer space. The most brilliant stars are visible to you. You can breathe easily. There's no fear of anything that would be physical here. You are glancing upon that which is the Creator's work. And you look around, and I will tell you, you recognize some stars, and you know there are some planets there you've been on, because you are a very old soul, and you've been in this particular galaxy a very long time. And you start looking at it and looking at all of its majesty. And then here comes the question. What does God look like? If you could hear God, what would you hear? If you could meet the Creator, what would it be like? I can't answer any of those, because these are questions beyond that which is answerable. Questions that perhaps shouldn't even be asked because they're so outrageous. But I want to give you a taste of that right now. Imagine you are standing there with your arms outstretched alone, in the middle perhaps of outer space, just looking at all the nebulas and the beauty of all of the colors and the stars that are there, just looking at the majesty of the work of the Creator. And you say, God, I want to know you. Speak to me. Now this is where it gets good. Because if this were a movie, there would be a voice. But it isn't. This is a reality that exists for you. God is real. You're real. Your soul is real. And so instead of a voice now, there is an overwhelming feeling that rings through your cells. And your name is mentioned. I know your name. And you hear that and you realize it. And you recognize there has been an answer already. Already. You just stretched out your arms. And then if you will, if you have the courage to, you would stretch out your arms again and say, "Dear Creator who knows my name, tell me what you want me to know." It's a time for you to meet the Creator to whatever degree this beautiful, wonderful energy of love is there for you. And if it could say anything or speak anything, you wouldn't even know what language it would be. A language you wouldn't know. God does not have language. God has love. And so what God would want you to know, dear ones, is just how much you're loved. And as you stand there with your arms out, the most incredible peace and beauty will pour into your body. So your body starts to even warm up with the amount of love that is pouring through you at this moment. That is a meeting with God, the meeting with the Creator. And it's instant. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wonder. You don't have to have answers, because it's right away. Where you exist in your soul is the platform of communication with all that is. And remember, you are a piece and a part of this Creator. I want you to stand there and feel this and know that this God loves you and humanity and this earth and is working for changes that are so grand and so great that you won't even recognize this planet when you come back someday. And you're all part of it. But in order for you to accomplish what you came for, you have to know that there is no judgment. You have to know that there is no God who's looking at you and thinking, well, that's good or that's bad. Or no, it's only pure love, and it's flowing through you now. I want you to feel it so much that when you return from this circle of 12, you're going to be different. You might even have a full cognition right now. Oh my, no one ever told me. No one ever told me that I had an alliance like this and that I never had to fear. I never have to worry. There never has to be angst. Not with this. That all things are appropriate. That's the truth. That's what I want you to see. That's the healing I want you to have over fear and anything else that gets in the way of beauty and compassion and love. Stay there. Just stay there. Just stay there and feel the light that pours into you. You've just met a bigger you. That's the message I wanted to give you tonight. And so it is.